Sometimes you just see a piece of furniture, and even though it's a little sad looking, you can't help but picture how cute it could be. That's exactly what happened with this cabinet. It was one of those cheap little storage pieces, probably from Walmart or Target, not high quality, but still functional. And guess what? It was free for me. Yep, some friends were getting rid of it and we couldn't resist taking it home. It was basic, boring, and a little beat up, but I instantly knew this cabinet could be transformed into something fun and unique with just a little bit of creativity. What's even better, this makeover is super easy. None of the sanding, none of the top coating, and you can pull it off in just one weekend. Alright, so when we first got started, this cabinet was rough. I mean, on top of being pretty plain, the grime buildup was unreal. Black and brown sticky gunk covered the top and the legs. It was gross. But the first thing we did was remove the old wood knob on the doors and some magnets on the back. My husband Taylor didn't have the right size bit for the electric screwdriver, so he just grabbed a little hand screwdriver and got it done. If you want to check out any of the products we are using today, we've linked them all for you in the description below. Then came the cleaning. You guys, Crud Cutter is magic. He sprayed the whole cabinet down and gave it a good scrub with a damp rag. It worked like a charm. Watching all of that grime come off is honestly so satisfying, right? He wiped it down twice, one with the Crud Cutter and once with just water to make sure it was completely clean, and then left it to dry while he set up the garage. He didn't need to do much, he just threw down some cardboard on the garage floor and grabbed his supplies. Once the cabinet was dry, he carried it out to start shellacking. Shellac has intense fumes, hence why he took it out to the garage, but he also wore a respirator. If you've never used shellac before, trust me, don't skip this step. It is easy. The only annoying part is the fumes, but they go away within a few minutes. It's important though because it helps the paint stick without sanding. Without the shellac, you're sure to have issues. So check out our video about bleed through to see what happens when you don't do this before painting for a better explanation. He sprayed on a good even coat all over the cabinet, and since he didn't take off the doors, he couldn't really help but spray inside of the cabinet while spraying the doors. Thank goodness this spray is clear though. Things went smoothly until he noticed some heavy drips in a few spots. The garage was freezing cold, about 37 degrees, and I think that slowed down the dry time, making the shellac dry way slower than usual and drip before it could dry. He wiped off the drips before they dried and made a mental note to spray lighter on the second coat. Before he sprayed the next coat, he lightly just sanded the texture that was left over from wiping away the dripping shellac because it had dried a little bit on the edges so you could see the outline of the drips and then the texture that was left from wiping it away. So even though he wiped it away before it dried, it still left a little bit of texture behind that we don't like, but it is so easy to just sand it down a little tiny bit and move on from that mistake. Even when little mistakes happen, there is always a way to fix them. While waiting for the first coat of shellac to dry, which took longer than usual because of the cold temps outside, I started imagining how this cabinet was going to look. When the second coat had dried, it was time for the fun part, painting. I used Sherwin-Williams Emerald Urethane in a satin finish. The color is this gorgeous soft blue color. I don't know the name of it though. My mom gave it to me after deciding not to use it. And oh my goodness, the way this paint went on was amazing. I used my Klingon brush, slightly damp, and together with that paint, it was like a match made in heaven. The coverage was so good. It felt like I almost didn't need a second coat. Even better though, the paint leveled out so well that there were nearly no brush marks, which I am always thrilled about. If you're curious about using this paint, check out our cedar chest makeover, linked up in the corner and in the description for you. I spent time brushing on 2 thin coats of paint, carefully checking for drips or runs, especially in the corners and the edges. I like to use a smooth, straight stroke for a professional finished look, and since the doors couldn't be removed because of how this cabinet was built, I just painted carefully around them. Frog tape came in clutch here. I had taped off the cabinet to keep my lines crisp and made sure to move the doors every so often so they didn't end up stuck with paint. While I painted, I dreamed of what else I could do with this cabinet. Maybe some wallpaper or a stenciled design. Since this is a simple piece with no fun details, it could use something to make it pop. For the second coat of paint, I switched brushes to this $10 zebra brush just to show you that you don't need pricey tools to get amazing results. This paint still leveled out well, though the texture was a little bit more than with the Klingon brush. But for most people, that probably doesn't matter. Now, even though the piece was already looking great, there were still some dings and scratches from its rough life before. I could have left them to keep this makeover super simple, but the deep ones really bothered my OCD personality. So I used plastic wood filler in white, just a dab on my finger over each scratch, and then smoothing out the excess as I went so there would be no need to sand it off later. This method is not perfect, it is not professional, but it's fast. I left it to dry overnight and painted over it the next day. And guys, it made such a difference, especially on the really deep gouges and cracks. There were super dark lines, those are gone now. If you have bigger scratches or damage on your furniture, check out our video on repairing veneer with wood filler, linked in that description for you. Once the paint dried, it was finally time to add something fun and playful. You know, that little bit of extra that makes it feel special. So first I lined the inside of the cabinet with pill and stick wallpaper. It's this adorable white and blue floral pattern I grabbed from Amazon. I will admit though, this part tested my patience. The paper did not want to cooperate. I probably was part of the problem. It stuck where it wasn't supposed to, and I had to reposition it a million times. It's all bubbled up and weird looking. I think I need to do a new piece. Why is this more annoying than painting? This paper is so annoying. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is not easy. Why does everybody make it look so easy? It's cute, but that was a pain in the rear, and I'm not even done. I gotta trim off the excess. But once it was in, wow, it completely changed the vibe of the cabinet. Next, I dove into my hardware stash to find the perfect knobs. Oh, I love these. They're so stinking cute. I was thinking more like these. Look at how cute these are. They're small, which is fantastic for this piece. I need something small. These would also be really cute. Look at how cute these guys are. They're small, they might work too. These ones also might be a little bit too big, but I love this look too. I have these black ones. They're just like the white ones. I think black is gonna be too harsh. So I don't think so, but I'm gonna take them down just to see, because you never know. Sometimes you're surprised, right? Ooh! Look at these cute ones. I'm gonna go try these ones on too. Aren't those cute? Okay, I have so many choices here, so I am going to take these down and try them out. Out of all of the options, I landed on these cute little gold ones that added just the right touch of elegance. The screws were a little bit too big for the original holes, unfortunately, so I just used a slightly larger drill bit to make the hardware hole a little bit bigger for them. It's an easy tweak that most of the time you don't have to do. And finally, to take things up just one more notch, I added some custom resin flowers. You guys, resin is so fun to work with. I used silicone molds to make these leaves and flowers. It was super easy. Just measure out equal parts resin, pour into a cup, mix together, and pour into the molds. And in about 10 minutes, it hardens into a solid white decal. I made quite a few rounds of these resin details, which honestly took a while, but a lot of it was just waiting for it to dry. Then I glued them onto the cabinet with instant dry super glue. This stuff is amazing. You put the liquid on one side, spray the other liquid on the other, and when they touch, it dries like instantly. If you like these little flowers though, see how I use them on a makeover to turn a cedar chest from boring into fun. To finish it off, I brushed on a final coat of paint using my Zebra round pointed brush, which made it easy to get into all of the little nooks and crannies of the resin flowers because of that point. The coverage was so good, one coat was all I needed. Now check this out. Here's what it started as, an old, super basic, free cabinet, and here's what it looks like now. It's colorful, unique, and perfect as an accent table, a nightstand, or even a little entryway piece. The best part, this makeover was so easy. Just a weekend project that anyone can tackle. I love how it turned out, and I hope it inspires you to try your own quick and fun furniture project. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Otherwise, hit that like button if this helped, and subscribe for more DIY inspiration. Not sure what supplies you need for your furniture flip? We got you. Click the link in my comment to download our free list of must-have supplies that we use every day to paint furniture.